After the Vietnam War, many Americans were left disillusioned by the seeming futility of the United States military efforts in Korea and Vietnam. During and after the Vietnam War, the Marine Corps hit one of its lowest points in its history. High rates of courts-martial, non-judicial punishments, desertion, and an increasing disdain for the military in general by the American people plagued the devil dogs. In the late 1970s, the Corps began to discharge its worst-performing recruits and focus on recruiting and training the best soldiers they could find. Soon after, the Corps was able to resume its expeditionary role. Stationed in Beirut in 1982, during the Lebanese Civil War, the 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines joined the multinational force in Lebanon to help keep the peace. The previous year had seen the Palestine Liberation Organization retreating to Tunisia, but increased violence led to an order by Ronald Reagan to return to the troubled country. The MNF drew fire from a number of belligerents and enemy factions, and in April of 1983, the United States Embassy was bombed, followed in October by the French military and U.S. Marine barracks at the Beirut airport. Over 200 Marines lost their lives in the attack. It was the largest peacetime loss of life, as well as the deadliest single-day death toll for the Marine Corps since the Battle of Iwo Jima during World War II. The bombing all but lost the American public's support of intervention in Beirut, and in February of 1984, the Marines exited Lebanon.
The Usmc and the MNF efforts in Beirut in both the Lebanon War against the PLO and the Civil War have been called by historians as the de facto first operation in the War on Terror.
The Marine Corps Aviation component is an organic appendage to the Corps' mission. Using both jet planes, or fixed-wing, and helicopters, or rotary-wing aircraft, the Marine aircraft are crucial to providing close air support and allowing for amphibious landings and attacks. Marine aviation dates back to 1912 and first came into its own during World War I, where the 1st Marine Aviation Force provided bomber and fighter support to the Navy's Day-Wing Northern Bombing Group over France. The Fleet Marine Force, established in 1933, was developed to focus on amphibious landing and also seizing naval bases. But the tactics were perfected in World War II with the creation of the Landing Force Air Support Control Units, which were responsible for the successful landings on Pacific islands like Okinawa and Iwo Jima. Marine fighter pilots in Pacific Theater during World War II were responsible for the downing of over 2,000 Japanese planes. Jet aircraft and helicopters made their debut and had their trial by fire in the Korean and Vietnam Wars. The light helicopters, like the HO-3S-1, only made the Corps' signature amphibious landings more logistically sound. As the technology evolves, so does the aviation wing of the United States Marine Corps. The Corps is using experimental aircraft, like the V-22 Osprey, as well as unmanned aerial vehicles, often referred to as drones, for reconnaissance, refueling, and strike capabilities. Any Marine aviation aircraft carrying the President of the United States, usually a helicopter operated by the HMX-1 Nighthawk Squadron, goes by the call sign Marine One. Initially, responsibility for helicopter transportation of the President and Vice President was shared with the Army, but the Marines took sole responsibility in 1976. Often, Marine One will take off and land on the south lawn of the White House when either Air Force One or a motorcade is not an option for travel. Marine One will also be used to connect with Air Force One on longer journeys. The helicopter today most often used would be the VH-3D Sea King or the VH-60N White Hawk. The first helicopter used for this purpose was the Sikorsky UH-34 Seahorse helicopter in 1957 to transport President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Marine One helicopters will always travel in packs of 5 identical helicopters, and the Marines operating the aircraft, rather than the standard utility uniform, will wear the dress blue Charlie or Delta. The first Gulf War saw the largest Marine Corps operation in history. With the liberation of Kuwait from the invading Iraqi forces led by Saddam Hussein in 1991, the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force employed over 90,000 soldiers on the land, sea, and in the air. The offensive was launched in January, and a total of 24 Marines gave their lives before the ceasefire took effect over a month later.
A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America, with the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful, and it's prepared.
On September 11th, 2001, the War on Terror was officially declared after an extremist terrorist organization hijacked a number of commercial airliners and flew them into various targets across the United States. One struck the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. 2 more struck the towers of the World Trade Center in New York City, killing thousands. President George W. Bush laid out the mission for the United States Armed Forces: the defeat of Al-Qaeda, other terrorist groups, and any nation that supports or harbors terrorists. Marine forces were staged in Uzbekistan and Pakistan, ready to enter Afghanistan, a nation known to be under siege by the terrorist organization Al-Qaeda. The 15th and 26th Marine Expeditionary Units were the first conventional forces to enter the country as part of Operation Enduring Freedom. And in December of 2001, the Marines took Kandahar International Airport. Since then, Marines have engaged in fighting with both Al-Qaeda and Taliban forces in various counterinsurgency efforts, such as those in the Helmand province, a known Taliban stronghold, and a center of opium production. In 2009, President Barack Obama deployed an additional 11,000 troops into the area to assist the largely British forces in quashing the insurgency. The Marines' 1st Marine Expeditionary Force returned to Iraq once again in 2003 with the invasion of U.S. forces as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Thanks to their valiant efforts, the force was given the honor of a Presidential Unit Citation, the first awarded to a Marine unit since 1963. For extraordinary heroism and outstanding performance in action against enemy forces in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom from 21st March to 24th April 2003. During this period, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, MEF, REIN, conducted the longest sequence of coordinated combined arms overland attacks in the history of the Marine Corps. From the border between Kuwait and Iraq to the culmination of hostilities north of Baghdad, 1st MEF advanced nearly 800 kilometers under sustained and heavy combat. Utilizing the devastating combat power of organic aviation assets, coupled with awesome power resident in the ground combat elements, and maintaining momentum through the Herculean efforts of combat service support elements, 1st MEF destroyed 9 Iraqi divisions. This awesome display of combat power was accomplished while simultaneously freeing the Iraqi people from more than 30 years of oppression and reestablishing basic infrastructure in the country. During the 33 days of combat, to the transition to civil military operations, 1st MEF sustained a tempo of operations never before seen on the modern battlefield, conducting 4 major river crossings, maintaining the initiative, and sustaining forces. The ferocity and duration of the campaign was made possible through the skills and determination of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and coalition partners comprising 1st MEF at all levels, all echelons, and in all occupational fields. By their devotion to duty, the officers and enlisted personnel of 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, REIN, reflect great credit upon themselves and upheld the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. The Marines remained in Iraq, spearheading operations in Baghdad and Fallujah before handing over responsibilities to the United States Army when the Corps officially ended their service there in January of 2010. Over 1,000 Marines were killed in action, and Corporal Jason Dunham received the Medal of Honor. The President of the United States, in the name of the Congress, takes pride in presenting the Medal of Honor posthumously to Corporal Jason L. Dunham, United States Marine Corps, for service as set forth in the following citation: for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty, while serving as Rifle Squad Leader, 4th Platoon, Company K, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines Reinforced, Regimental Combat Team 7, 1st Marine Division Reinforced, on April 14th, 2004. Corporal Dunham's squad was conducting a reconnaissance mission in the town of Karbala, Iraq, when they heard rocket-propelled grenade and small arms fire erupt approximately 2 kilometers to the west. Corporal Dunham led his combined anti-armor team towards the engagement to provide fire support to their battalion commander's convoy, which had been ambushed as it was traveling to Camp Husabai. As Corporal Dunham and his Marines advanced, they quickly began to receive enemy fire. Corporal Dunham ordered his squad to dismount their vehicles and led one of his fire teams on foot several blocks south of the ambushed convoy. Discovering 7 Iraqi vehicles in a column attempting to depart, Corporal Dunham and his team stopped the vehicles to search them for weapons. As they approached the vehicles, an insurgent leapt out and attacked Corporal Dunham. Corporal Dunham wrestled the insurgent to the ground, and in the ensuing struggle, saw the insurgent release a grenade. Corporal Dunham immediately alerted his fellow Marines to the threat. Aware of the imminent danger, and without hesitation, Corporal Dunham covered the grenade with his helmet and body, bearing the brunt of the explosion and shielding his Marines from the blast. In an ultimate and selfless act of bravery, in which he was mortally wounded, he saved the lives of at least 2 fellow Marines. By his undaunted courage, intrepid fighting spirit, and unwavering devotion to duty, Corporal Dunham gallantly gave his life for his country, thereby reflecting great credit upon himself and upholding the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. In 2010, the United States Marine Corps included over 200,000 Marines in active duty, as well as around 40,000 reservists. These numbers make the Corps the smallest armed forces branch in the Department of Defense. Its units are still the first to deploy in the event of crisis, and tactics and technology that has been developing since World War II only help close the gap from mission statement to mission completion. Programs such as the Military Sea Lift Pre-Positioning Program ensure that military equipment and supplies are stored on sea vessels throughout the world to equip first responding Marine and other U.S. military units, enabling them to hold a defensive line while more troops can prepare and deploy. Since the Marines are able to mobilize much faster than other branches, they are often the first to help during natural disasters or evacuations, providing humanitarian relief and security, such as when the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit provided aid to Haiti after the 2010 earthquake. Back home in the United States, the Marine Corps continued to serve their communities with programs like Toys for Tots, providing toys and clothes to needy children at Christmas time, a program that has been in effect since 1949. New equipment and vehicles, such as the V-22 Osprey, which combines the vertical and short capabilities and includes functionalities of both the helicopter and turboprop aircraft, keep the Marine Corps able to strike amphibiously as the occasion warrants. The Corps is also developing a new amphibious combat vehicle to replace the assault amphibious vehicle, and they are also hoping to reduce their logistical requirements and eliminate all liquid fuel use for expeditionary forces, except for highly efficient vehicles, by 2025. The uniform of the United States Marine is not adorned with unit patches, badges, decorations, or other symbols, not even the U.S. flag. The simplicity of the uniform and the courage of those who wear it are the symbols of proud tradition and military superiority. The Marine motto Semper Fidelis, or always faithful, is an apt one. The men and women of the United States Marine Corps have, throughout their colorful history, received high honors and victories, and crushing defeat and denigration, even by the citizens of the land that they're sworn to defend. Yet the Corps remains ever diligent and steadfast, ready to strike at a moment's notice on the land, sea, or in the air. The United States Marine Corps. Semper Fi, do or die.
This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. It is my life. I must master it as I must master my life. Without me, my rifle is useless. Without my rifle, I am useless. I must fire my rifle true. I must shoot straighter than the enemy who is trying to kill me. I must shoot him before he shoots me. I will. My rifle and I know that what counts in war is not the rounds we fire, the noise of our burst, or the smoke we make. We know that it is the hits that count. We will hit. My rifle is human, even as I am human, because it is my life. Thus, I will learn it as a brother. I will learn its weaknesses, its strengths, its parts, its accessories, its sights, and its barrel. I will keep my rifle clean and ready, even as I am clean and ready. We will become part of each other. Before God, I swear this creed. My rifle and I are the defenders of my country. We are the masters of our enemy. We are the saviors of my life. So be it until victory is America's and there is no enemy.